Sargon the Great. One commander I regret so much investing into. Alright guys, what's going on? This is Gainz Gaming. Today we are talking about Sargon the Great and whether or not he is worth investing into in 2024 or even worth using in 2024. And yes, I did invest into Sargon, and the reason why I regret investing in him is because I never used him. I don't know if I even have any kills with him at all. Well, I guess I have some. I think that was just testing him out at 5411. My goodness. But I did put 70,000 gems into Sargon the Great. Let's see how many heads I put in. I put 150 heads into him. And, you know, when he first came out, I thought that he was going to be like the new infantry meta. And that's why I max spun his wheel like the first time he came out. And because I was planning on running him. And then I believe before my fight started, the new archers and the new cavalry came out next. I think it was like Boudica Prime that came out next, and I decided to invest into her instead, which I also regret. So it was a rough time in Rise of Kingdoms for me. But Sargon the Great, whether or not he is worth using in Rise of Kingdoms right now, what his skills actually are, and if you should even use him if you have invested into him, and also what skill levels do you need to use him at. You know, there's been a lot of speculation that you shouldn't even unlock this 4th skill, which is something I talked about when he first came out. And then I ended up accidentally, like I literally was trying not to get it, and I got like the crit or whatever, and it unlocked the 4th skill. So I was really mad about that. But because I didn't want this 4th skill. If I had him, you know, 5550, I probably would have used him. But now I can't use him because I need to expertise him. But let's dive into his skill kit and what exactly he does. So his first skill, for the next 5 seconds, whenever this commander's troop launches a basic attack, has a 100% chance to deal direct damage to the target, damage factor 500. So this is a skill that everyone was like really iffy about because, you know, obviously like you want to do as much damage as fast as possible. You don't want to have damage that lasts too long. So that's why damage over time isn't amazing. Because in this case, you need to be actively fighting somebody for 5 seconds to get your full skill completed. Now, this is rough in the open field unless they are just standing there. But in most cases, once you start attacking somebody, they will try to run away and drag you into their murder ball. And so with Sargon the Great, you need to be in combat for 5 seconds after you get 1,000 rage. So really, probably closer to 10 seconds before you actually get your full potential with Sargon. So I think this is his biggest downside. And there's more downside to talk about, but I think this is his biggest downside, is that your damage is 2,500 damage, which is decent. You know, not amazing, but decent. But you're doing it over a span of 5 seconds. Now, if it was 3 seconds, that's completely different. But like if it was, you know, 750 damage over 3 seconds, I'd rather have that and do less damage than have to wait 5 seconds for his full skill to happen. Now his second skill. This commander's infantry units gain 10% attack and 20% health. Whenever their troop deals direct damage, has a 100% chance to inflict odd on every troop hit by the skill damage. The target takes 3% more skill damage for 10 seconds. The odd effect can stack up to 10 times, and its duration resets whenever it gains another stack. Now, this, in my opinion, is probably one of his best skills because you're gaining infantry health. You know, the attack is, no, not amazing. 10% attack is really nothing. But the extra skill where you are increasing the amount of skill damage the enemy is taking by up to 30% for 10 seconds, that is where he makes his money. Increasing the skill damage that they're taking by 30% is substantial, especially for 10 seconds. Like, that is pretty insane. Now, his third skill. This commander's infantry units gain 15% march speed, which is really nice. Infantry units in their troop also deal up to 10% more damage when attacking another troop on the map, which is all the time. Whenever their troop launches a basic attack, has a 10% chance to gain a 30% bonus to damage dealt for 3 seconds. Now, this skill is also really, really good. Extra damage bonus to infantry, extra march speed, and an extra 30% damage bonus. Like, all upside here. These 2 middle skills, insanely strong. Like, these 2 skills, probably 2 of the best skills in the game, honestly, for infantry. Now his 4th skill. This is the one where I honestly said, like maybe you shouldn't even use this skill, like not even unlock it with the star and just run him 5550. Now for skill, if this commander's troop is on the map, infantry units and their troop gain 10% defense. Whenever a target troop reaches 10 stacks of the odd effect, the effect is dispelled and the target takes direct damage, damage factor 1000. In addition, this commander's troop gains a damage absorbing shield for 5 seconds, damage factor of 300. Now, you might ask, like, why would you not unlock this skill? Like, you're doing extra damage, you're getting extra, defense, you're giving yourself a shield, all really, really good, right? Well, the downside of this is that you're losing, in this case, you're losing 10 seconds of your enemy taking 30% skill damage. That is substantial. 30% skill damage for 10 seconds. That's not only benefiting you, your March of Sargon, it's benefiting all your other marches, and it's benefiting all of your allies. Because that enemy is also taking AoE, which is skill damage in most cases, unless it's, Luce. And then in that case, they're taking smite damage. But in 90% of scenarios, probably more than that, they are taking skill damage. So with this skill, you are getting rid of that insane boost or insane debuff of 30% skill damage taken bonus from your enemy. And so, I don't think that warrants giving yourself 10% defense and 1000 direct damage and then 300 of the shield. I don't think that's a good trade. I think I would much rather take the enemy taking, 30% more skill damage for 10 seconds, because they will die. That troop will melt. The only case that wouldn't be worth it is if they're almost dead already. In that case, then it's like, okay, well, yeah, I would have gotten more benefit in this case. But if you rage load onto somebody that's a fresh march, that fresh march will just melt because it's taking an additional 30% skill damage. And then you unload all your skill damage onto them and they just melt. If you have all high DPS commanders, that troop will die. And so I don't think it's worth investing into this force skill. If you want to run him at 5550, I think that's a great way to invest in the Sargon. I don't think going for the full expertise is worth it simply because of this skill. But his expertise. This commander's troop takes 15% less skill damage. Whenever their troop is hit with a basic attack, has a 50% chance to inflict 2 stacks of odd on the attacker, which is that extra skill damage taken. And if this skill is triggered while the commander's troop has a shield, it will inflict an extra 1 stack of odd. Now, this is all really nice because you're constantly increasing the amount of skill damage by the enemy up to 3% for each stack. So, essentially 50% chance to inflict an extra 6% skill damage taken at all times. And then if the skill is triggered while the commander's troop has a shield, which, you're gaining a shield right here, then you are also inflicting an extra 1 stack of odd. So you're doing more odd stacks with the expertise, but you are also going to consistently have this skill fire off, which will eradicate that 30% skill damage taken for that 10 seconds. Because that 10 seconds is really the reason why it is substantial. If this was 3 seconds, then, for sure go for the expertise. But 10 seconds is very, very, very substantial. Even if they run away and they exit combat and they come back into combat, they will still be taking 30% more skill damage because it's 10 seconds. It takes less than 10 seconds to exit combat and re-enter combat. So I think that this skill is just too strong to even consider getting rid of this 10-second bonus. So if you were going to run Sargon, I would say running him at 5550 is, in my opinion, the best case scenario. The second best case scenario is the expertise. And, if you can save 300 sculptures by not expertising a commander intentionally, I think you should. Like, I use William, and it's kind of funny. William the Great and Sargon the Great. William the Great, I run him 5551 because I don't think his force skill and expertise warrants 300 gold sculptures. I just don't think it does. Same with Sargon. I don't think his force skill and expertise warrants 300 sculptures. I think you're actually better off not investing those 300 sculptures and just running him 5550. For me, it's too late because I can get rid of this now. And like I said, it's because I accidentally crit it and I went over into 4 stars. So that really sucked. But I think for people that are looking into investing into more infantry, if you're looking at being an infantry main, Sargon definitely is a commander you should use. And, you know, obviously there's bigger priorities in the game. I think that obviously Luce is #1 priority. Scipio is #2. I would probably invest in Sargon before Guan. But, you know, I think if you are running 2 infantry marches and, you know, you want to have like the best season of conquest commanders, I think the 4 marches you run are going to be Scipio and Luce and Guan Sargon. I think those are your 2 marches in the open field. I mean, you can make an argument that running Alex in there instead of like Luce Alex and Guan Scipio is better. In my opinion, I prefer that over putting more sculptures in a Sargon because I already have Alexander the Great and I love Luce and Alex. It runs amazing, and Guan Scipio is also really, really good. But, you know, if you are looking into that 2-3 pairs of infantry, I think Sargon is definitely still usable and still a commander that you should invest into if you are looking into infantry. But if you're running a mix account like I am, where I'm running 2 infantry, 2 cavs, and 1 archer, Sargon isn't in those cards for me because, you know, I would much rather use Alex and have pretty much the same results than invest more sculptures in a Sargon for, you know, roughly the same amount of results, maybe even less, considering how good Luce Alex performed my last KVK. I was really, really happy with that. So, you know, that's my opinion on Sargon. I'm curious to see what you guys think about him and whether or not you think he is worth investing into in 2024 or worth using in 2024. So let me know down below in the comments, and thanks for checking out the video. Have a great rest of your day.